Today we're diving deep into the life and times of a true American icon, Johnny Cash.
The Man in Black.
Exactly him.
A fascinating figure with a story that's, well, it's just packed with all sorts of twists and turns.
We've got a ton of material to dig into everything from his childhood to his music.
And personal struggles, too.
Oh, yeah. Definitely some unexpected things in there as well.
It's going to be a journey, that's for sure.
So let's start right at the beginning with the name Johnny Cash. So iconic.
Yeah, it really is.
But was he born with that name?
No, actually, he wasn't.
Well,
he was born J.R. Cash.
J.R.
Yeah.
Huh.
Went by John for a bit, especially during his time in the Air Force.
Oh, right.
And it wasn't until he really got into music that Johnny stuck.
Makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like a stage name kind of thing?
Definitely a stage name feel, too.
Yeah, well, actually, that transition, you know?
Yeah, like a new chapter.
From John to Johnny. From Air Force to music star.
It's interesting how names can do that.
They really can.
Carry so much weight, you know?
Totally. Now, his early life wasn't exactly, well, it wasn't the spotlight and the stage, was it?
Oh, far from it.
What was it like for him growing up?
He was a Depression-era kid born in rural Arkansas.
Tough times.
Yeah, hard-scrabble life, working in the cotton fields.
You know, it's funny because when you think of Johnny Cash, you don't immediately picture cotton fields.
Right, but that experience really shaped him.
How so?
It gave him this incredibly strong work ethic.
That makes sense.
And a deep understanding of what it meant to struggle, you know, to be a working-class person.
And you can definitely see that in his music.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those themes are all over his songs.
That connection to the everyday person, the struggles they faced.
Exactly. It's part of what makes his music so relatable, so powerful, even today.
Absolutely. It's like he's speaking directly to those experiences.
He is, in a way.
Now, there's this whole image of Johnny Cash as the Man in Black, often associated with prisons, right?
Yeah, that image is so strong.
So was it just an image or was there something more to it?
Oh, no, it went way deeper than just an image.
Like what?
He performed in prisons all the time, countless concerts throughout his career.
Really?
Yeah, he started way back in 1957.
Wow, that's early.
It was at Huntsville State Prison in Texas. He genuinely believed in the power of music to reach everyone, no matter who they were or where they were.
Pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, he saw the humanity in these inmates, you know. He didn't judge them.
He saw people, not just prisoners.
Exactly.
And of course, there's that famous performance at San Quentin in 1969.
Oh, yeah, the live recording.
Huge success.
Massive.
And did you know Merle Haggard was actually in the audience at that San Quentin show?
No way, really?
Yeah, as an inmate.
Wow, imagine that, hearing Johnny Cash play while you're incarcerated.
Must have been incredible.
I bet. It speaks volumes about Cash's impact, especially on other artists, you know, folks who are going through tough times.
Seeking redemption.
Yeah.
And you know, Cash himself wasn't a stranger to run-ins with the law.
Right, he had his own share of trouble.
What kind of trouble were we talking about?
Well, there were some minor arrests.
Like what?
Disorderly conduct, things like that, but...
So a bit of a wild streak.
You could say that.
Okay, but anything more serious than that?
Yeah, there was one incident in 1965.
What happened?
He was caught with a bunch of illegal pills after coming back from Mexico.
Ooh, that's not good.
It was a real low point for him.
Did it lead to any consequences?
It definitely did. It was the start of his battle with addiction, a really dark period.
Man, tough stuff.
Yeah, it was, but that's where June Carter comes into the picture.
The love of his life.
Their relationship is legendary, isn't it?
It really is, like a story straight out of a song.
They met in the early 60s.
And just clicked.
There was an undeniable connection there.
Now, June wasn't just any woman, was she?
Oh, no, she came from a very musical family, the Carter family.
Wow, so music royalty.
You could say that.
And she was already a star in her own right.
So their love story, it was more than just romance, right? Yeah, it was a mix of passion, heartbreak, and ultimately redemption.
And June played a huge role in helping him through those tough times, didn't she?
She was his rock, his anchor. She helped him overcome his addiction.
And they got married.
In 1968. And stayed together until June passed away in 2003.
What a love story.
Truly inspiring.
And you can feel that love in their music, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Especially when they performed together.
It was electric.
It was like you were witnessing something really special, really intimate.
It's like their love was woven into every note.
Exactly. And their voices blended so beautifully together.
Speaking of music, Cash's career went way beyond just singing and songwriting, didn't it?
He wore a lot of hats, that's for sure.
So tell me, what else did he do besides music?
Well, from 1969 to 1971, he had his own show on ABC.
The Johnny Cash show, right?
That's the one.
I've heard about it, but never actually seen it.
Oh, you're missing out.
What was it like?
It was fantastic. He had a whole bunch of amazing guests, incredible lineups.
Like who?
Bob Dylan was on there, Neil Young.
Wow.
Even Louis Armstrong made an appearance.
What a mix.
Right. And that just shows you how wide his musical taste was and how well he connected with artists from all different backgrounds.
It's like he was this unifying force, bringing everyone together through music.
He really was a true champion of music in all its forms.
And then, of course, there are all those Hall of Fame inductions.
Oh, yeah, he's in quite a few.
Like, name a few.
The Songwriters Hall of Fame, the Country Music Hall of Fame, and get this, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He uses all of them.
All of them. It's proof that he went beyond genres, transcended them.
He uses his own genre, almost.
In a way, yeah. He was never afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries of what music could be.
It's like he was constantly evolving, constantly exploring.
Absolutely. He took bits and pieces from rock and roll, gospel, blues, even folk.
And blended it all together to create his own unique sound.
Exactly. And that's what resonated with people, that originality, that authenticity.
And that voice, that deep, booming voice.
Oh, yeah. Unmistakable.
Unforgettable. So he was a singer, a songwriter, a TV star.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Well, believe it or not, he even did some acting.
No way, really?
Yeah, he was in an episode of Columbo back in 1974.
Columbo, the detective show.
The one and only.
Wow, that's wild. What did he play?
He was a homicidal country singer.
Hold on. Homicidal country singer.
That's right. It kind of plays into his whole Man in Black image, doesn't it?
It adds a whole other layer to it, for sure.
It's almost like he was playing with those ideas of persona and reality, blurring the lines a bit.
Which, honestly, is something you see a lot in his music, too, right? Like those themes of darkness and light, good and evil.
Definitely. He wasn't afraid to explore the darker side of human nature, both in his music and in his life.
Makes you think about how much of that Man in Black persona was a reflection of who he really was.
I think it was a part of him, but not all of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like he was a complex tapestry of experiences and emotions, and his music was a way for him to process all of that, to make sense of it all.
That's a great way to put it.
And speaking of processing, there was a movie made about him, right? Walk the Line.
Oh, yeah, in 2005.
Joaquin Phoenix played him.
He was phenomenal.
I thought so, too. Really captured Cash's essence.
He really did. The movie itself is a great way to get a glimpse into Cash's world.
Yeah, it covers his early life, his struggles with addiction, his love for June.
It's a pretty comprehensive portrait of a very complex man.
Now, we've talked a lot about his music, but Cash was also a family man, right?
He was. He had children.
And one of them followed in his footsteps, right?
Yeah, his daughter, Roseanne Cash.
She's a singer, too, isn't she?
She is, a very successful one.
Must be in the genes.
You could say that. She definitely inherited her dad's talent for storytelling and making music that really connects with people.
So she carved out her own path in the music world, but you could still hear her dad's influence in her work.
For sure. It's like a continuation of his legacy in a way.
Speaking of legacy, there's a kind of sad story connected to Cash's longtime home in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, the fire.
What happened?
After Cash passed away, the house was bought by Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees.
Really?
Yeah. But tragically, in 2007, there was a fire during some renovations, and the whole house was destroyed.
What a shame.
A piece of music history gone up in flames.
So sad to think about. Now, we've talked about Cash's rebellious side, his struggles. But he was also a deeply patriotic man, wasn't he?
He was a true American.
How did that patriotism manifest itself?
Well, one thing he always insisted on was having an American flag on stage during his performances.
Really? Every single time?
Every time. It wasn't negotiable for him. It was a symbol of his love for his country and the values it represented.
Interesting. Makes you think about the different sides of him, you know? The rebel and the patriot all wrapped up in one man.
He was full of contradictions, that's for sure. And speaking of contradictions, there's something else about Cash that might surprise you.
Ooh, lay it on me. What else is there?
Remember how I was in the Air Force?
Yeah.
Well, get this. He was a code breaker.
A code breaker, seriously.
Yep, stationed in Germany.
What was he doing there?
Intercepting Morse code transmissions from Russia.
That's some Cold War stuff right there.
It is. And here's the kicker. He was actually the first American to learn of Stalin's death.
No way.
Yes way. He intercepted a message about it on March 5, 1953, before anyone else knew.
That's incredible. Think about the weight of that information, you know, knowing that a world leader had died before anyone else.
It must have been mind-blowing.
From decoding secret messages to writing some of the most heartfelt lyrics in music history, his life was full of these fascinating juxtapositions.
He was a man of many layers, that's for sure.
And at the heart of it all was his love for June Carter.
That's the constant thread throughout his story.
And speaking of love, we can't forget that letter he wrote to June for her 65th birthday.
Oh, that letter, pure poetry.
It was voted the greatest love letter of all time.
Deservedly so.
It's incredibly moving.
It's a beautiful testament to their enduring love, how they grew old together, how they knew each other inside and out.
What's your favorite line from it?
Oh, that's tough, but I think it's this one. We get old and get used to each other. We think alike. We read each other's minds. We know what the other wants without asking.
Oh, that's sweet.
It goes on. Sometimes we irritate each other a little bit, maybe sometimes take each other for granted. But once in a while, like today, I meditate on it and realize how lucky I am to share my life with the greatest woman I ever met.
So simple, yet so profound.
It's a reminder that even the most ordinary moments can be filled with extraordinary love.
Absolutely. Now, Cash was known for always being ready to capture his creative ideas, right? Like he always had a notebook handy.
Always. He was dedicated to preserving his thoughts and ideas.
What did he carry around with him?
He had this black leather briefcase and a shoulder bag, always filled with notebooks, pens.
Like a writer's survival kit.
Exactly. He also carried Bibles and a few hardback books, for inspiration.
He was always prepared to jot down a lyric, a song idea, anything that came to mind.
He never wanted to lose a good idea.
And that dedication shows in the breadth of his work, from singing for inmates to performing on, get this, Sesame Street.
He was one of the first major musical guests on that show.
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah, in season 5, he sang Nasty Dan for the kids.
Nasty Dan on Sesame Street. Who would have thought?
And later on, they even had this Cash-inspired Muppet character named Ronnie Trash who sang about the environment.
That's amazing. It's like he connected with everyone, from hardened criminals to little kids watching TV.
He had this incredible ability to bridge those divides, to speak to people from all walks of life.
He was a true force to be reckoned with, a man of many talents, many contradictions, and many passions.
He left an undeniable mark on music, on culture, on the world.
And his story continues to fascinate and inspire us today.
It really is amazing the impact he had and continues to have, and it goes beyond just the music,
You're right, his legacy is huge, but what is it about Johnny Cash that still speaks to people today?
I think a big part of it is his authenticity, his honesty,
He wasn't afraid to be himself, flaws and all.
Exactly. He laid it all out there in his music, his struggles, his heartbreaks, his faith, his doubts.
And that's what people connected with, that vulnerability.
It's like he was saying, hey, I'm human too. I go through stuff just like you.
And his music, it's raw, it's real, it transcends time, doesn't it?
It does. It speaks to those universal experiences we all share. Love, loss, hope, despair.
He sang about life in all its messiness and beauty.
And he didn't shy away from the tough stuff either. Social justice issues, the struggles of everyday people.
He gave a voice to the voiceless.
He did, and that's a powerful thing.
And let's not forget the music itself, the way he blended genres.
Oh, yeah, he was a master of that.
Country, rock and roll, gospel, blues, folk, he brought it all together.
He wasn't afraid to experiment, to break down those walls between genres.
Like you can hear the gospel influence in a song like I Saw the Light, but then you've got the bluesy feel of Folsom Prison Blues.
And it all worked, it all fit together seamlessly.
It's like he created his own genre, the Johnny Cash genre.
That's a good way to put it.
And it all comes back to that authenticity, that originality.
Nobody sounded like Johnny Cash.
And nobody had that voice, that deep, resonant baritone.
That voice was a force of nature.
It commanded your attention, it drew you in, you couldn't help but listen.
And when you listened, you believed every word.
It wasn't just a voice, it was an instrument.
It was an instrument that conveyed so much emotion, so much depth.
And then you combine that voice with his songwriting, the stories he told.
It's a potent combination.
He could paint pictures with his words, transport you to another time and place.
And he did it all with such honesty, such conviction.
And I think another part of his enduring appeal is his work ethic, his dedication to his craft.
He never stopped working, never stopped creating, even when things were tough.
He was a true artist, always striving to improve, to evolve.
And he faced a lot of challenges in his life: addiction, heartbreak, loss. But he never gave up.
He channeled those experiences into his music.
His music became a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity.
It's like he was saying, hey, life throws you curveballs, but you can get through it. You can come out stronger on the other side.
It's a message of hope, a message of resilience.
And I think that's something we all need to hear sometimes, especially these days when the world can feel so chaotic and uncertain.
His music offers a sense of grounding, of comfort.
It's like a familiar voice, a reassuring presence saying, it's okay, I've been there too.
And his music has this timeless quality to it. It crosses generations.
You know, it's funny. My parents listened to Johnny Cash. I listened to him. And now my kids are discovering his music.
It's amazing how it continues to resonate, how it finds new audiences.
It's a testament to the power of authentic storytelling, of genuine emotion.
His music speaks to something deep within us, something universal and personal, all at the same time.
And to think, it all started with a young boy from Arkansas learning to play guitar in the cotton fields.
What a journey. What a legacy.
Johnny Cash, a true American original.
His story is a reminder that with hard work, dedication, and maybe a little bit of luck, anything is possible.
He left an undeniable mark on music, on culture, on the world.
It makes you wonder, what aspects of his music still speak most strongly to people today?
That's a tough one to answer. So many possibilities.
Yeah, what resonates most with you?
For me, I think it's the combination of his storytelling ability and that incredible voice.
Yeah, that voice is just unforgettable.
When he sang a song, you felt it, you believed every word, you were transported to that moment in time.
He had this way of connecting with his audience on an emotional level that few artists can achieve.
And his songwriting was so vivid, so evocative. He really could paint pictures with his words.
It wasn't just about the words, though. It was the way he delivered them, the emotion behind them.
He could sing about love and loss, about social justice, about the struggles of everyday life, and it always felt real. It always felt authentic.
That authenticity extended beyond his music, too. He lived his life with conviction.
He wasn't afraid to speak his mind, to stand up for what he believed in.
Like his advocacy for prisoners' rights. He saw the humanity in those often forgotten individuals.
He believed in redemption, in second chances. He saw the good in people, even when they couldn't see it in themselves.
And that compassion, that empathy, it shines through in his music, in his actions, in his entire being.
It's been a really fascinating deep dive into Johnny Cash's life and legacy today.
He was one of a kind, that's for sure.
Yeah, and his music, it just keeps inspiring, keeps challenging us, you know.
It really does. It makes you think, like, what parts of his music or even just his message still speak to you, today?
That's a really good question to think about.
Yeah, what's the thing about Johnny Cash that really sticks with you?
We'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Definitely.
But for now, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Johnny Cash.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep learning.
And keep the music playing.
Now I can tell you, Buster, that I ain't a fan of Custer, and the general, he don't ride well anymore. Well, to me, his score was 0, though to some he was a hero, and the general, he don't ride well anymore.